Hello, Internet, Facebook, YouTube. It is me, Brian O'HalloRANT, and you are watching another episode of the O'HalloRANT. Oh, I'm really excited for tonight's show. We got a good friend of mine who I got to work with so many years ago, who's gone on to do incredible work in the documentary world. Really great stuff and subject matters that I thoroughly love. He's an incredibly funny guy. We actually met many years before that at one of Kevin Smith's Vulgar-thons. We're going to get to that story towards the end. That's just a little teaser. You're going to want to hear this story. Stick around and hear this story. But we've secretly known each other for that long, unknowingly, until I got onto the set of a project that he was producing. So tonight, my guest is Mr. Tommy Avallone, producer, filmmaker, documentarian, writer, director, editor extraordinaire. He also does really great work with the soundtracks, too. He really does an amazing score on his films, which I really enjoy. These are some of his award-nominated and winning films. The Bill Murray Stories, Waldo on Weed, his first documentary, I Am Santa Claus, a great little piece, and Ghostheads, about the folks who are big fans of Ghostbusters and come to the Comic-Cons and dress up like Ghostbusters. So that's going to be for us here tonight on the O'HalloRANT, here in my corner of my basement, out of my mother's basement many years ago and into my own basement, decorated the way I like it. So it's been another crazy week in quarantine, and movie watching, I'm sure, is heavy on people's to-do lists and things to keep their minds off of what's going on in the news. We just had a tropical storm blow up the northeast coast here, and quite a few neighborhoods in the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and all along the eastern seaboard still out of power. So some of you who have power getting to watch this, and there are people out there tonight. So I'm thinking about you guys who are without power. Also thinking about the horrible explosion that happened this week out in Beirut. My thoughts and prayers go out to those folks in Beirut. Just devastating. The videos that keep coming out are just devastating. It's just crazy. But let's get to the show tonight. I want to bring on to the air, coming all the way from Los Angeles. He's in lockdown himself, a Philadelphia boy, actually. I want to welcome to the show. And everybody, please give a round of applause for Mr. Tommy Avallone.
Hey, man. How are you?
What's going on, Tommy? How's LA treating you?
Oh, it's the same as everywhere else in the world, right?
Yeah. So, it was really great. I've been doing these shows now. You're episode 5, and we connected. We've been keeping in touch through Instagram and Twitter. And when I was thinking about subjects of who to come on, you were one of the first people I thought about. So I'm glad.
Oh, great.
You said yes to be a part of this. I'm glad you reached out to me like, hey, man, I just want to hang out and just talk. I miss you.
Yeah, for real.
I'm out here in LA, and I miss the Philly vibe and the East Coast vibe. So I'm glad I can give you some respite for at least an hour. Maybe we may even go a little later than an hour today, because you've become so prolific now, man, as a filmmaker. And I'm
look at that. Big words.
No, really, I'm really enjoying your work. I got to say that I rewatched the Bill Murray Stories today, and then I also watched the award-nominated Waldo on Weed, which is a documentary about a family who has a young child who has some cancerous growths building up in the kid's eyes, and to help through chemo, they secretly went the CBD oil route, which I thought was really amazing. As a matter of fact, we're gonna just show really quick here the trailer for that, and then we'll come back from it talking to you with it. So hang on one second.
I'm going to take you back to the beginning, because this is when things were just awesome.
He was so sweet and always so happy.
Muppet.
I think it was like pure bliss and excitement. And then
Danielle started noticing this weird thing, this sort of like gray reflection in his eye.
The other thing, I'm just looking at his eyes.
It's really hard to like go back to that moment because it really did change everything.
We heard
Waldo has retinoblastoma in both eyes. Retinoblastoma is the most common cancer of the eye in kids. You've done nothing to cause this. So it's six months of chemotherapy, then done.
Well, today's your first day of chemotherapy. He just shut down. He had stopped eating. He had stopped crawling around, stopped smiling. I didn't want to live in a world where we saw our son disappear. And we're going to travel across the country in order to acquire medicine in the form of cannabis oil. It's highly illegal, and I don't care, because I would go to jail for Waldo. First batch, smells really good. I'm very confident, but we will see.
Waldo!
I just walked upstairs to the sound of laughter. Within the first hour, he was back to himself. Couldn't believe it. In the last 36 hours, we've noticed remarkable improvements.
Whatever you guys are doing, you're doing it right.
Whatever you guys are doing, you're doing it right. From the point where we started giving it to him till the end of chemo, he didn't puke one time. I saw my son use this stuff like a shield. I saw the truth.
Really, seeing that piece, such a controversial subject for some, CBD oil and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a pothead at all, contrary to popular belief that I'm in a lot of Jay and Silent Bob movies. You think that those guys get stoned and just make these movies all the time. No, that's not it at all. But I do see the benefits of CBD oil. I know I had a friend whose father had skin cancer, and he was treating the lesions with CBD oil, and he had to go the backdoor route because the state that he was living hadn't legalized it either. And so for those out there, if they haven't seen it, that film is available on Amazon Prime and a couple of the other streaming outlets as well. And I got to tell you, you really had many levels of storytelling in this film, in a sense that you had the story that was the father doing this circuitous type of route to obtain the CBD oil. So there was this kind of like caper movie feel to it, like
an Ocean's 11.
Yeah, like a kind of an Ocean's 11 kind of thing, that you're rooting for the dad to get the medicine for his kid kind of thing. But then you also have the political drama aspect of it, of the family then advocating to administrations and different states legislatures about the benefits of cannabis oil treatments and marijuana treatments for certain ailments, and the study of. And so and then you have the personal family, just you have Brian and Danielle and their child Waldo just really just wanting to do the best for their child, like any parent would want to do. And I got to say that it was really touching. There were moments where I found myself getting welled up. Now, I don't even have children, and I was getting welled up with the emotion, but also the science of it. You really covered your bases with bringing in experts as well, which I really, really enjoy. And then as I see the credits rolling, I see you have a one Miss Whoopi Goldberg as one of your executive producers. So please,
isn't that great?
I know. Please, I've been talking all this time. Please elaborate on what made you pick up the subject of CBD oil, and how did you find Brian, Danielle, and Waldo?
Yeah, I mean, like yourself, like I don't smoke pot. I've never smoked pot. The only sort of comparisons I ever had was watching Jay and Silent Bob movies, or Cheech and Chong, or Half Baked. Like I wasn't a pot fan, but I knew Brian locally. I'm from New Jersey, but I worked in Philadelphia. And so I knew of Brian's pizza shop, Pizza Brain, and I just knew he was a interesting character. His hair was very large. Whenever he was walking around, he was like I don't say a local celebrity, but like he was a character in town. So I went to him originally to, hey, let's do a project about pizza, right? Wouldn't that be great? And he's like, I'm not really feeling the pizza thing anymore. My son has this form of cancer, and we would give him cannabis. So he's like right in the middle of it. And he had been filming it. And he's like, I have this footage, but I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything with it. But, you know, this is where my head's at right now. And we kind of talked, you know, my son Miles was with us. And so it was like one of those things where I could bond on like what a father would do to save his son. So we just kind of kept in touch, you know, and he tried to make it into a documentary with someone else and it didn't quite work out. It was a little bit more of a political angle. Then we got a couple other directors to do it, and I was producing. And it was one of those situations where it just kind of came down to me directing it. The guys before were really short film directors, and they felt it was a short film, and me and Brian really thought it was a feature, you know? And like, to me, having not, I had no agenda, I never smoked pot, so it was like, well, let's talk to these people who are against it. Like we talked to CALM, the Citizens Against Legalization of Marijuana. And we talked to their, you know, what are your fears with this? And all the stuff he's saying is more or less true. It's just like you talk to Citizens Against Marijuana and Parents for Pot, they're more or less saying the same thing. They're saying it should be regulated. If you're going to take this, it should be regulated so you can actually know what's in the bottle or what's in the thing that you're going to take, you know, but CALM just doesn't want it to happen, and Parents for Pot does, but they're saying the same thing. So it's a really interesting argument to be on the fence with that sort of stuff. And like, I felt like I've become a real documentarian by just talking to politicians and doctors. Like there was like a real doctor equipment at Harvard behind me, you know, like that was interesting. After that shoot, me and Derek got drunk and peed at Harvard on the grass, just because we felt like that would be a fun thing to do. We're still rebels at heart.
Exactly. You really lucked out that the fact that Brian, the father, started documenting his own journey with this pocket camera that he had.
Yeah, it was like one of those flip cams, you know. It was actually a flip cam, and it was that time where it wasn't really. Not many people were doing it on cell phones or Instagram or any of that stuff during that time. It was 2014. So he had all this footage, and it was a great way to tell the story because they weren't really performing. You know, they were just kind of documenting for their own story or their own, like.
But the father, Brian, really had a very natural way, even when it was just him and the phone, to tell what was going on. And
yeah.
And it was really, you know, it was very fortuitous as the filmmaker, producer, and editor, for that matter, to have all that footage available to then cull the great moments out of it. And of course,
go
ahead.
No, I was just saying, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, like there's, you know, sometimes it's just Brian in the bathroom, not going to the bathroom, but in the bathroom, just kind of like talking to himself. There was a lot to go through. It was about like 2.5 years of just home videos that we turned into a movie. I mean, Waldo was 5 when the movie was released. At a certain point, he stopped filming and other people started. Right. So you see, like, it stopped being like a talking to the camera sort of diary stuff to actually like kind of following the journey. But it all kind of like goes together.
Exactly. The transition from seeing it as a personal vlog, if you would, all the way into this kind of full-fledged documentary with, you know, science and politicians being interviewed, and like you said, the CALM advocates and people like that. It really transitioned well, and once again, the music really gets you in this one. You have a really great composer composing the music for you and scoring it, and I gotta say, it really is a compelling argument about why medical marijuana, at minimum, medical marijuana should be approved. So I gotta hand it to you, man. You really tackled a really strong subject and a very emotional subject, especially when you have a loved one who's in need of help and they're in a state that they can't legally obtain these type of treatments, and the lengths they go to really get their child or their loved one the help that they need. Once again, folks, that's Waldo on Weed. You can find that on Amazon Prime. I believe it's also on iTunes and a couple of other streaming services. It's worth a watch. It's actually on Prime for free, so if you have Prime, you can watch it.
And two, we looked at with like Brian and Danielle being such, you know, funny characters, you know, and the uncles that helped Brian, Danielle, or Mike and Larry, and they're very humorous people. Like they're like for a movie about cancer and a child, we do get some laughs, you know, because like they're just interesting people, interesting characters. Philly tends to develop that.
Well, we have Meg here. Meg said, loved Waldo on a really emotional film. So, yes.
Absolutely. We went to high school together.
There you go. Well, good. Thank you for having her come on board. We also have Jonathan saying powerful. And then what's this one here? So, Brian, not surprised that you had a podcast. You have a great face. Oh, thank you, David. I appreciate that. That's very nice.
How do you do this? Like, you're just sitting there and this stuff all just comes up.
We got my co-star from Clerks, Scott Schiaffo. Hey, Tommy Avallone, congrats on all the works to your success. So Scott is a good friend as
Scott's
well.
Great. Yeah.
He's an awesome guy. So, yeah, you know, there's the streaming company that I'm using here, StreamYard.com. They have this system for me, and I'm just self-producing. I could have someone else do this, but it's all me right now.
I think it's cool. I mean, let's say Waldo and We was a scripted movie. Scott could be the guy that's against it because he was the one pushing the cigarettes before, right? That was the
right, exactly.
Worked out. Yeah,
exactly.
That was my lame joke. Sorry. Yeah, I told you.
And of course, Frey says, "Love Scott." Everybody loves Scott. How can you not love the Chulies gum guy? And the right before your eyes, filming people. How's Waldo doing right now? So, how is Waldo doing right now?
He's doing good. I'm pretty sure he just had another checkup, and they don't need to see him for another year. So he's been doing great. Yeah, good. Waldo's good.
Just had a bit of a sound issue here. Hang on one second.
Okay. I'll drink my water. What, you want me to talk? I can't hear you. Uh-oh. You want me to keep talking? Okay. Gotcha. I just said the word water. That's how you can tell I'm from New Jersey. I hear that a lot. One time I was in a southern area of the United States, and I went to order water, and someone thought I was asking for another order of something. So there you go. The word water, is my tall tale sign of being from New Jersey. And I say I'm from the Philadelphia area because I don't want to be associated, or I shouldn't say I wouldn't be associated. I should say I just don't want to get the wrong idea that I'm from North Jersey. Sorry, Brian. It's just a different area. A lot of people for a while were saying, oh, like the Jersey Shore. It's like, no, not like that at all. How much longer do you need me to keep rambling? Because I'm probably going to say something stupid if I haven't already.
No, you're good now. I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Thank God.
We just had a bit of an issue here. So going from that subject matter, like I said, an amazing film. We're going to talk to you about this great film here, which is the Bill Murray Stories. I got to say, I loved every minute of it. It's something that you could do like part 2, part 3, part 4. And it's funny because I also grew up hearing these kind of rumored fairy tale kind of stories of Bill Murray pulling off something and whispering to someone, no one ever believe you. So here, I'm going to just show really quick for those who don't know it, the trailer here of the Bill Murray story. So we'll start that here.
Cool.
Did y'all just pick him up?
It's Bill Murray.
Yeah. Oh, you are kidding.
There's always that one person who you want to meet, and you'd be like, this is never going to happen. And then this guy shows up at your door.
I'm bartending outside on the patio, and I get a text message.
We're just about to sit down for dinner. Knock on the door.
I'm a wedding photographer, and I get ready to photograph. And as I look through the lens, I see this guy. We were having a house party,
and I run inside, close the door. I was like, shh, you're not going to believe it. Bill Murray's here. Oh my God.
Hello, my name is Tommy Avallone. I'm a documentary film director, and I wanted to do a story with you. I'm not good at this.
There are legions of tall tales about Bill that have circulated online throughout the years.
So I look, and it's Bill Murray slapping his belly.
These Bill Murray stories are random interactions with Bill and regular everyday people.
Bill Murray could just sort of like arrive in your life for a few minutes.
Why would such a big celebrity insert himself into these random situations?
I don't think people can figure out why he would do that. It's like, where's Waldo?
This was a search for answers.
Bill was just fine getting lost.
You okay?
Yeah.
I'm Bill, by the way.
He just reveled in not knowing where he was. I run inside, and Bill is bartending.
He's like a candle when you light it in a room, and all of a sudden the room smells great.
He goes after little moments, charged with meaning. He marches to his own beat.
War is teaching us all how to live.
Really, to be honest with you, this is a movie we need right now. This is definitely a film that just makes you smile from the very beginning of this film to the very end, and hearing story after story after story of just how amazingly random and chill Bill Murray is. And the fact that you decided to find out if these stories are true, this is like the first documentary that you are one of the main subjects. You are the storyteller, and you're in front of this, telling this story, which I really, really thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to go wrong when you do that. Like Morgan Spurlock, Michael Moore, like they are fantastic at doing that, but then there's this legions of people who do it poorly, and we try to watch every single bad documentary where the director put themselves in it or herself in it. And we're like, okay, well, don't do that, so even with editing it, anytime I would try to perform or, just ham it up, because I'm usually just that kind of person, I would cut it, because it's like at the point, like no one's there wanting to watch me. I just happen to be the thing that's lacing this thing all together. So anytime I hammed it up, I just cut it out.
You know what though? But you didn't really ham it up in this at all. I felt that
you cut it out.
It's still like I can see where that could go. I mean, wanting to be bigger than the stories, the subject matter that it was. You
just get uncomfortable in front of camera and you start saying stupid things, so that tend to happen sometimes.
Yeah. Well, listen, you started in radio, by the way. You started working with the guys, Preston and Steve at MMR.
No, they were our competition.
I'm sorry.
I was at WYSP. I was with Kid Chris and Danny Bonducci.
My bad. That's right.
No worries. I mean, I've become friends with Preston and Steve, but I just never worked for them.
Correct. We actually went there to promote your film.
Yeah, December,
it kind of felt like you had known those guys because you'd worked there and stuff like that. So, and I knew you came from the radio kind of promotion.
We had given them a hard time at one point, so it's very nice to them to have let us go on. So, radio wars.
But that's the thing about you. You're a hustler. You don't shy away from throwing yourself full frontal into events and into things, which I enjoy. And that's why I enjoyed this Bill Murray story so much, is because there were so many interviews that were conducted that were just so, the right questions were asked, the stories were told, the reenactments, because some of the events didn't happen in front of cameras.
Yeah.
That reenactments, and so funny because I recognize a lot of people who you had cast in your reenactments because they had worked on the film Miss December that we did together. And so it's good to see the same faces and that Philly crew you keep together there. It's really great.
Yeah, I mean, the opening story, Jordan McSorley is in there. He's the one with the shaved head. And I mean, I've known him since kindergarten, and he's been in all the movies we've done before and all that sort of stuff. So it's great to do all that sort of stuff. And, Jesse the Kid was another guy that was in the opening, and we had him eat so many pancakes, and you probably only see him eat one pancake in the whole movie. So, these are things you kind of just have to do because we're all friends.
So let me ask you this then. So then which came first, the idea of finding out the true identity and the true, if the so-called truism of the Bill Murray stories, or your other documentary, Ghostheads, which follows around the people who are big Ghostbuster fans and who dress up and go to Comic-Cons and stuff like that? Which came first, chicken or egg on this one?
I'll try to make this story as short as possible, but so I had finished I Am Santa Claus, right? That was 2014 2014 when that came out. And I wanted to do the Bill Murray stories. My friend Brian, who's the Blue Meanie, he told me about my first Bill Murray story, the hands over their eyes at a urinal and no one will ever believe you. And at that time, I started understanding all these stories happening. I was like, oh, what if we did a documentary where we treated the stories like it was Bigfoot? Like not Bill, because he's real, obviously, but the stories. Like we could make a Bigfoot documentary, but about Bill Murray stories. That was like the idea. So living on the East Coast at the time, filmed the karaoke story, filmed the kickball story, all in New York, put together a little sizzle. But in doing so, the Santa Claus movie was at New York Comic Con, and I came across these Ghostbuster fans. So I was like, oh, let me interview those guys because they would know about Bill Murray. Maybe one of them has a story or something like that. And in doing so, I saw there was this Canadian guy, Brendan Mertens, doing a documentary about Ghostbuster fans called Ghostheads. And I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, man, I was like, you're doing the Ghostheads thing. You might get to Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman. Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman before I will. I'll interview Philly Ghostbusters, New York Ghostbusters, New Jersey Ghostbusters, and I'll send you the footage. Like if you want to send me your questions. If you interview Aykroyd or Ivan Reitman, I'll send you my questions and we'll swap footage. That was like the idea, like a kind of like indie way of just getting things done. And that's what we did.
Almost like a crowdfunding version of filming.
Yeah. I mean, because I just thought he would get to those guys before I ever could.
Let's show really quickly then this trailer for the folks out there who are interested in why do people like to dress up like those. So let's play this here.
Okay.
A ghost head is someone who has clearly found some meaning and purpose and relevance to the whole Ghostbusters phenomenon.
There are Ghostbuster chapters all over the world.
Every state has a Ghostbusters chapter with their own patch, usually incorporating the No Ghost logo and the shape of the state.
Sometimes it's about doing something positive and making a difference in your community.
Each one of them kind of operates a little bit differently. Some of them are more organized, some of them are a little bit looser.
Going to children's hospitals or going to a child's party who has special needs and really loves Ghostbusters to kind of brighten up his day.
Fans dressed up, running around, showing up at places, arriving in a vehicle of their own construction. It's reminiscent of that first moment that I saw my Ghostbusters come down the street for the first time on Madison Avenue.
But I felt Ghostbusters, at least for a long time, was totally fan-driven.
It's so we can make friends as adults, because that's like most of my friends growing up now are either through work or through Ghostbusting.
It's a sense of the same kind of identity I had when I put on my Hopalong Cassidy pistols and hat as a kid.
It's amazing that all these people come together with this common bond of just loving Ghostbusters. It's amazing. It's just a movie, but it's so much more.
I travel sometimes. I try to take my proton pack, but the TSA doesn't have a sense of humor. And they look at it like it's a bomb, even though I'm thinking you have had to see Ghostbusters. I mean, it's a proton pack.
The hospital is the last place that you want to see kids. That if you can take their mind off their troubles for a second, you've done something really great.
To put on that uniform to walk out, you've got to be showing a pretty vulnerable side of yourself.
And even like the preliminary version of the pack, just like strapping that pack on and having that technology. I'm a total ghost head in the sense that I love the hardware.
Growing up, it was kind of like an identity thing because parents, when they're separated, they fight and everything. And one says one thing about the other, and then it kind of leaves you to question, like, well, who am I then? I guess now you could say I'm a Ghostbuster.
Really, it's subject matter that, like I said, when I travel to the cons all over the place and I see their local chapters everywhere and what they do, and it's that passionate kind of feeling. Same like the garrisons, the 501st garrisons of the Star Wars fans that you see, and even the Star Trek heads and stuff like that, and the Whovians, and we can go on with the passion it is. And it's just amazing the phenomena that it is, these things. I'm
just like watching all these trailers together. It's funny, all the the generic music we have in these things, because it's like it's really difficult to cut a trailer. You know?
It is tough to cut a trailer. It's also tough to score. Scott Schiaffo is definitely a man who scored quite a few films that I know that he's worked on, and it's kind of tough being that type of person to get a grasp of what music goes with that moment to elicit the emotion you want to get out of your fans and your audience. And so it's a tough gig to do, but you do it, man. You do it really well, and I love the fact that you tackle subjects that you are a fan of. I mean, everybody does their best work when they're a fan of what the work they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, with Santa Claus, like, I did not like Christmas, but I did like people who liked Christmas. So like, there's a difference there, But like, I mean, Ghostheads, Waldo, and Bill Murray. The trailers do not represent the trailers score does not represent the score that's in the movies. That's one of those situations you watch it and you go, because it's like the last minute thing, and you're delivering a movie and you don't really feel like doing a trailer, So it's always.
Right.
So it's always difficult. But I think the Santa Claus trailer, I didn't know any better, and I just edited it myself along with Derek Lindemann. So what are you gonna do?
Speaking of which, so we're gonna then now show your very first documentary called "I Am Santa Claus."
No, I like this trailer.
All right, so we'll go with the Tommy Avallone approved trailer for "I Am Santa Claus" right here now on the O'HalloRANT.
What can I tell you? It's St. Patrick's Day. We're all drunk.
When I finally found out that there was any such thing as men who liked men, I knew that was what I had been all along.
Oh, well, I don't just do real estate. I also take pictures of the Easter Bunny.
I make mean barbecue, ribs, pulled pork.
I'm on staff of what is popularly called a sex club. And you'll notice it says right here, no nudity at the buffet.
A little bit of Santa's cookies. I lie to people and tell them this is what I smell like when I sweat. Oh!
I've always been Mick Foley as Santa Claus. Nobody's ever been under the impression they were actually meeting Santa Claus. So I would like to see if I have what it takes. So I'm going to give it a try.
How's that feel on your scalp at all?
It's more of the balls rubbing against my shoulder.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's the first time that's...
Being Santa is a job that if you didn't love doing it, you couldn't do it at all.
Here, will this help?
Mommy!
Mommy.
It's kind of a tradition. He doesn't like Santa.
You're going to be pissing green tonight.
Oh man, I really do love that movie. I've seen it a few times now. I kind of watch it during the holidays because that came out in what year again?
2014. So
right.
here's
you have claymation in it as well. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so here's a really view askew sort of connection here. So we have claymation in the movie. This is Santa Russell, right? And in the Bill Murray stories, we have a mask right there. You can kind of see it.
Right.
For Bill Murray, both made by Dave Deneen. Dave Deneen famously made Buddy Christ.
Oh, very nice.
There you go.
I got to tell you though, it's a film that will definitely have its life throughout the years because it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
And I got to say, it was really nice. I've met Mick Foley numerous times at conventions, and he came to that screening out in Long Island, and the Long Island Santa was there as well, and I remember that evening, and it was a great screening, full house, and it was a lot of fun, and just hearing his point of view and his take of Christmas, because what's not said in the trailer is that he apparently has Christmas decorations in his house up all year round.
Yeah, because like we try to like have a professional wrestler in every single one of our movies, and when we started like transitioning into yeah, once we started transitioning to documentaries, we're like, well, this is going to be difficult, you know. But being a big fan of wrestling, we knew Mick Foley was a fan of Christmas, and you know he had his own Christmas room, so we kind of reached out to him through a mutual friend of Tommy Dreamer, and he set it up where I talked to Mick, and I mean, it kind of changed Mick's life. I mean, when he got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame, he had Santa Claus at the end. He tried to convince Vince McMahon to get him to get Mick Foley to get in a sleigh and fly out of Madison Square Gardens, but this didn't work out.
So where did the idea of like, I want to find out what the behind the scenes lives of these people who are Santa Claus, where was the inception of that?
Yeah, because we were just doing scripted movies at the time. You know, I was just kind of producing those. But like, me and my wife were walking around the Deffert Mall, and it was like Christmas. I was like, I wonder what life that guy goes home to. You know, like what family is waiting for him on Christmas? You know, and we talked to one of the photographers there, and he started like breaking down, crying, talking about how it meant to him. This is like a photographer. Like he had just given up Santa Claus himself. He shaved his beard and was just starting to take pictures. And I was like, this is really interesting, you know? And like, there was a couple like checklists of like Santas we wanted to get. You know, there was a lot of Santa Claus documentaries being made during the time we were making ours. And a lot of them would focus on like the fictional character of Santa Claus and, you know, Christmas itself. But someone once told me it's not a caterpillar that's interesting. It's the person who's obsessed with the caterpillar that's interesting. So we really tried to focus on the people who dress like Santa, and they would try to talk to us about like, you know, Santa and all that sort of stuff. We're like, let's talk about you. Like you were what's interesting, and the third act will show you Santa, and that's why it will mean so much more. You know?
Yeah, it is a funny progression of the film, where you follow the behind the scenes of them in their regular life, and then it leads up to how Christmas is, and then the days after Christmas. And I got to say, it's a fun watch and a rewatch every time I watch it around the holidays, because this is what's really going on in the malls and these shopping centers and all of that, where you can get your Santa Claus, you know, photo fix. And so let's get into your scripted kind of films. I mean, I met you on this wonderful film, Miss December. Yes. It was also known as Calendar Girl in one iteration. Let's talk about it after watching the trailer, and we'll come back after this.
Sure.
We are with filmmaker Tommy Avallone, and we're talking so many films. It's a cavalcade of films. Enjoy Miss December.
I don't know if you knew this, but there's a serial killer preying on girls like me.
It has been a horrific period in Philadelphia.
The Calendar Girl killer sent this letter to the press.
11 months, 11 female victims.
It's been quite a year. My calendar is nearly complete. And what kind of artist would I be if I didn't save the best for last? A dark loner, bitter yet somehow sweet. It's me.
Not funny, Ari. Not funny.
This does kind of sound a lot like you.
Who do you think it is?
Chris, Phil.
Phil's a photographer. John came into the diner today.
Hey, Ari.
What are you doing here?
I missed you too.
I heard he's been with like a dozen girls since we broke up. It's kind of disgusting.
He's obviously no one's fool.
Guilty as charged, sir.
This is an open and closed case.
What about that guy who pays you in buttons?
You keep all of that. It's a little more than 79 cents.
I hate you so much.
He doesn't just see these killings as killings. He sees them as a lead up to his art, if you will.
I need you in one piece.
What are you gonna do with that?
No.
See, I just produced that one, so I don't want to take any credit away from Derek Lindemann and all those guys. But I'll tell you what, like there's a bunch of scripted movies I produce that I usually don't like to talk about anymore because it's like they're not that good. But I love Miss December. Like if you're allowed to like your own work, but like I mean, I think just Tarek and John Canary and Jake Matthews and Jensen, everyone just did a fantastic job on that one. I really enjoyed it.
It's funny because Gilbert Gottfried was out at a Comic-Con, the last one I was at, which was in GalaxyCon in Richmond, Virginia, and he was there. And I said to him, like, oh, we technically worked together on the Clerks cartoon. You had voiced the Patrick Swayze character, and then also the Seinfeld character for the cartoon. But also you were part of a film called, well, at the time you probably knew it as Calendar Girl, but it came out as Miss December, where you were a Philadelphia police officer. He goes, oh, right. Yes. Do they still owe me money? You know,
I love Gilbert Gottfried so much. Like we picked, like, so we're shooting in South Jersey. He lives in New York. We're picking him up. So it's me and the other producer, Andy Lindemann. And we're picking him up, like nervous about Gilbert, have all these things. They're like, we're picking up him, and he's like, oh, you gotta drop my sister off somewhere. So we do that. And, all the conversation I had in my head to talk to him was done in 5 minutes because he's just like, yes, no. I mean, he doesn't talk like Gilbert Gottfried. He's very quiet. And it was just the most silent, like, hour and a half car ride. It was just like, he was so quiet. He came to the set, started taking all the free snacks. It was, I've run into him so many different times, like in New York and different. One time he was filming some Netflix show out here, and he was dressed like Adolf Hitler, and I ran into him backstage. I was like, he has no idea who I am, but like I'll tell him, I was like, I produced Miss December. Oh yes.
I think that was Salver Silverman's show. They had dressed up as a Nazi.
No, it was Historical Roasts.
That's right. I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably dressed like Hitler a couple different times, but like, but he would always go. He's like, he goes, "Do I have indie cred now?" It's like, I guess so.
Yeah, he's a very low talker.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I really had a great time. It's been awesome. It's really good.
We took him out to lunch one time, and like he barely talked at all. And he like I ran into him at the end of the comedy club. It was a Helium in Philly, and I was like, "Hey man, I produced that movie with you." Still no idea. Let me take you out to lunch tomorrow. And he calls me next day. He's like, "I'll take that free lunch now." Yeah. It didn't matter who I was. I just had a free meal for him.
I'm sure he has the memory of an elephant when it comes to things people owe you.
Yeah.
The other scripted piece that you had here was Mancation.
Yeah.
Another Comic-Con regular that I see and hang out a lot with is Joey Fatone. Really great guy. So let's just quickly show.
Joey,
and it is a hilarious movie too. So let's show this trailer, and then we'll come right back after the trailer.
Let's all raise a glass to our newlyweds.
One wedding.
I've never seen my little daughter so happy in her life.
One loving wife.
Hello? What the fuck? I don't know what to tell you, Vince. I don't even like men.
Can we not have this conversation while you're inside of someone?
One ex-wife.
You didn't even attempt to get in on that? I'm the only one that thought of it.
We gotta go somewhere. It's really, really crucial that you get laid.
And a mancation.
Here it is, baby. Bottoms up.
That will never be forgotten.
Thanks, guys. Body shots!
Joey Fatone, Matt Kaczynski, with Mike Starr and Danica McKellar.
PG, bring the boner on. I'm fat. I can't run.
My God, he's slow.
Go big.
What are you getting, Prince Albert?
Hey, here we go.
Oh, is it so bad?
Now we're disinfected. Now it's time to actually do the piercing.
Or go home. Mancation.
Look at that ass. God damn! Look at that thing sticking out like a luscious apartment air conditioner. You just want to...
Look for it on DVD.
I gotta say, it totally has the the Hangover vibe.
Well, so here I've got the DVD here. In Germany, they call it Vince's American Hangover.
There you go.
Yeah, it was funny. Like I used to work at a video store, and I always remember the knockoff movies. Like Pirates of the Caribbean's big. What's the knockoff of that? It's like I made a knockoff movie. Again, just produced that one. But
still, I'm sure it was a fun ride.
Oh, it was fun. We have Danica and Joey and Mike Starr. It was like a lot of that sort of stuff, and it was like big. We had big that wedding shoot was like 2 red cameras and like 80 extras. It was a lot of fun making it, and it's just one of those movies that you're like, I don't know if that plays well nowadays.
Yeah, there's definitely it's a new era, not just in the fact that there's a pandemic, but a new era with the movement and sexuality and things like that going on that you got to be careful as to what is considered humor anymore is very sensitive. And a lot of stand-up comics especially have been talking about how college tours have become very difficult doing comedy because there's a lot of PC battles going on about, well, when is it appropriate to tell certain jokes about certain either afflictions or ethnicities or subject matter or sexuality or what have you, and it's tough. And I've talked to other stand-up comics as well who they're like, what, I'm just going to stick to the clubs because people are paying and it's an implied kind of thing that you're coming in, you're going to hear some offensive stuff. And colleges, they're like, well, we have endowments and stuff that can affect, and it's that type of stuff that you got to go, ooh man, I'm going to step back, because usually colleges
Mancation is definitely raunchy for being raunchy. The guy who wrote the movie is covered in fake poop at the end. So there you go.
So I'm going to talk about how we first met many years ago.
Speaking of raunchy.
Yeah, I see. That was the warm up. Your movie, Mancation, is the warm up act.
Okay.
For the tale that I'm now going to, talk about. And I have my mother is visiting up here from Central Jersey. She's visiting, and so she's watching this with Diane, my girlfriend, upstairs in the living room. And so I'm gonna be like, Mom, you go to watch the TV and watch the news for these next couple of minutes. So Kevin Smith, for many years in the early years, would have a film festival called Vulgarthon, in which he would show a collection, usually 5 movies, over a weekend, where fans would buy either a day pass or a weekend pass. This was at the White Street Cinema in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Real quick, one of them was Big Helium Dog, which starred Matt, who is in Mancation. Go ahead.
The Central Jersey, Philly area, kind of in New York City, kind of independent filmmaking world. Like Mike Starr, I was part of a pilot. Just tons of stuff, and you can't help but run into different people that you work with all the time. And so I forget what year it was, because he had like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 of them. I'm not exactly sure. So he would show some movies. So it would be like Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing Amy, and then Big Helium Dog or A Better Place, or
Drawn Flies,
or Drawn Flies, things like that. Or the films that Kevin was in, like what was that one where he's they're fishing and stuff?
Catch and Release.
Catch and Release, things like that. And they would have.
But also Jeff Anderson's movie too, which is escaping me, but that was really good.
Now You Know, or How Do You Know?
Yes.
And so and after the screenings, people would come out in the lobby and we could talk to fans and take photos and sign autographs and stuff like that. And so I was there. I think there was a screening of Vulgar going on that year. And so I was signing autographs for people and taking selfies with folks and stuff. And then some young man comes up and it's like, "Hey man, can I take a photo with you?" "Sure." And like, "Do you mind signing something for me?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I tell this story when I'm asked at the Comic-Cons, especially in my Q&As, what's the weirdest kind of interaction or weirdest item you've ever had to sign? And out from this messenger bag comes this 2 foot, I say 2 foot black dildo. I'm like, what?
It was white.
Yeah, turns out that it was white, but in my head, I was just getting flashbacks like, oh my God, 2 foot dildo. And so I remember signing it where I took the Sharpie and you held it. I was like, I ain't touching that, but I'll sign it like literally like a painter with a painting brush. and like that, and then hand it back to you. And then we took a photo, and then that was the end of that. Come to find out years later on the internet that someone took a snap of that moment, because people don't believe that this is a true thing. But here it is. No story. And in all fairness, it kind of looks Latino. It does look very tan for a 2-foot double-sided dildo.
It was in my trunk, so it got some grease on it.
Oh God. And so then I remember I show up on the set of Calendar Girl and or Miss December, and I remember there was a setup going on, and as usually in setups for films, there's a lot of downtime while you're waiting for lights to be moved and prop pieces to be set up. I think we were in some sort of warehouse, because in that movie I play a director of a made-for-TV movie version of what the real crime that's going on in the movie. And I remember you sitting next to me in one of the director's chairs, that were sitting in Video Village area, and saying, we met before. And I was like, really? And you started to tell your story.
So what's interesting about memory, man, is it's crazy, because I don't remember a lot of it like that. I was in college at the time, and we would always go to this porn shop at night because it was open 24 hours or whatever. It was right next to a place called Cucci's Pizza, oddly enough. And it was my friend's birthday, so we're like, let's get him a double-sided dildo, and it was like a gag gift. I guess that's the joke there too. But like, of course he didn't take it, so I kept it. And all my friends, we would just hang out in this parking lot. We would play baseball with it. We call it double header, where you throw the ball and hit it with. It was a thick dildo. And so that's why I got dirty and all that sort of stuff. So me and my friends were going to, I believe it was the second Vulgarthon, because I feel like the first one I was in high school. But I was like, you know what? I want to meet some of these people, because I was I'm a huge fan of Kevin Smith and everything that he does. So if I brought a dildo, I wonder if they would remember me then, and I feel like I had it everywhere. And I do not remember asking you to sign it. I just remember asking you to be in a picture with me, because my friend John Dean, his dog broke it in half, but there's no signature unless it rubbed off. Again, there's another joke there. But when we were filming Miss December, I don't feel like I brought it up to you. I feel like it took me a while to bring that story up to you. Like, you might have been at my house, like for a house party or something, or doing press or something like that. Because when I told you, you're like, that's you. You're like, that's that, that I tell that story all the time, and it was just so funny, because like it happens to me a lot where like I meet people as fans, and then I eventually and thankfully get to work with them. And sometimes I do hide some of the fan stories up until I feel a little bit better. It's not like, all right, you're about to film this, you're playing this part. By the way, we met before, and it was because of the double-sided dildo. There's like different things, but it's funny. I have the actual picture somewhere that you and me looking at the camera with the double-headed dildo. But I met Brian Lynch that day, Vince Pereira. Big Helium Dog, Better Place, and then Kevin. Once I was going to the bathroom, and or I was coming out somewhere, and I saw him like going from like one room to the next, and I was like, oh no, I'm sorry. When I first met Kevin's outside signing autographs and taking pictures and all that stuff. I was like, hey Kevin, I have a double-sided dildo in my backpack. If you want to play baseball with it later, let me know. Because like I'm 21 years old. No, I'm sorry. I had been 20 years old, thinking that was a fantastic idea. And then later when I saw him, I was like, hey, I'm the guy with the dildo. Did you want to play baseball or something like that? He's like, he goes like, what do I got to do now? I was like, you know what? You're tired. Don't worry about it. He's like, thank you. Years later, I've been at the man's house. I don't think I ever mentioned the dildo thing, because he had interviewed me for Miss December and Santa Claus.
December and Santa Claus, they were from the Smodcast presented by.
Yeah, Kevin Smith. Yeah, the Smodcast Presents Kevin Smith Movie Club was Miss December, but he was just actually friends with Mick Foley, and Mick invited him to our premiere in Hollywood. And Kevin Smith sat in the theater and watched one of my movies, which blew my mind. And then afterwards, we went to his house and did a podcast. And the most surreal moment was him afterwards going, "So you knew how to get out of here, right? You just kind of go up there and turn around." It's like who's this guy that I idolized for us giving me directions how to leave his house? It's like, I got a GPS.
Nice.
It was just, yeah.
So
that's my version of the double-sided dildo.
And you know what? It's for you've heard both sides now, audience. You to decide.
We're split screen. It is like a debate here, right?
But all I got to say is my story after it was told was inspiring to an artist by the name of DW. And during the Empire State Comic-Con up in Albany, New York, I had told my story there. Then, then followed up by the Rhode Island Comic-Con a few months later, in which he then decided to present to me with the Infinity Gauntlet. And see, I tell the story as a 2-foot black dildo. Maybe that's my preference. I don't know. But there you have it. And it was a photo that was taken of me with the gauntlet, right in front of. I have a clerk's background when I go to Comic-Cons. And
that's so funny.
So he heard during my Q&A, I tell that story, and so then he was inspired to add the 2-foot dildo into the drawing, which I have hanging proudly in my office area of the house. So
please tell him to.
Sorry,
I was like, please tell him to redraw it, but with me next to you holding it.
Right, I'm gonna have to. I'll email him the photo from the College Humor documentary.
Well, that was the weirdest thing too. It's because, if I was in college, it probably would have been like 2002, 2003, maybe. Let's just say 2002. To see a picture, I was like, I didn't take that picture. Who took a picture of me and put it online? What's College Humor? I didn't know what that stuff was.
I know life comes at you very fast. Just like right now, we're going to do a segment that I like to call the speed round. That's right. We're going to do the
transition.
Exactly. I'm really good with the transition stuff. We're going to do the speed round here. And we're going to see if you can answer about 20 questions. They're just random yes or no, A, B choices when I give you the questions. So let me get some music going on here. Let's see. All right, here we go.
The pressure cooker.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like a little pressure cooker, but it's kind of hippie. It's kind of hip as well. By the way, this song composed by Mr. Scott Schiaffo himself. All right, here we go. Speed round. Docs or scripted features?
Real quick. So, to watch or to make?
That's your choice.
Scripted feature.
Film or digital?
Oh God, I would love to have one day worked in film. I like film, but I would be digital, I guess.
Philadelphia or LA?
That's a tough question for me right now. Let's say LA.
Long flight or long drive?
Oh. Long flight.
Vegetarian or omnivore?
What's omnivore really mean?
I mean, you eat meat and vegetables is pretty much.
Oh, then yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I never said I was an educated man, Brian.
Mask or no mask? The big debate that's out these days.
Oh, you gotta wear a mask.
Thank you. Highway.
I'm gonna wear my Bill and Murray mask.
There you go. Perfect. Highway or side streets? That's a big help out in LA.
Highway or side streets? I don't get it.
Which do you like to take, highway or side streets? See, you haven't been living in LA long enough to know the bonus of learning all your side streets to get around.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I'll just do the highway because I don't know.
All right. Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Booth or table?
Booth.
Producing or directing?
Directing.
Beach or the shore?
Shore.
Are you buying or selling?
I don't know. Let's say buying, because I hate to pitch anything.
All right. Shooting or editing?
Shooting.
Love or money?
Oh, love.
Gino or Pats?
Ooh, Gino's.
All right. All you Philadelphia fans, you know what I'm talking about. Murray or Aykroyd?
Murray.
Theatrical or streaming?
Theatrical.
Dante or Randall?
Dante.
I'm going to steal this from the great James Lipton. Your favorite curse word?
Yeah, I don't really like to curse, but like one time in high school, it was like a sex ed class, and they wrote the word douche on the board, and I couldn't stop laughing. So it's not really a curse, but could be.
I mean, if you're calling someone a douche.
Yeah, I had to turn my seat around. I couldn't stop laughing. So douche would be my word.
And then finally, what is your biggest pet peeve?
I have so many. I mean, there's people who use the word ASAP. Yeah, I guess I'll go for right now with ASAP, because I mean, I'm just because someone says that doesn't make me move any faster.
So if someone just says to you or emails to you, "Hey Tommy, I need this ASAP," you're like,
Yeah.
this fucking guy, really?
Well, because I do I respond quickly. I do things to I feel like I'm pretty fast at what I do, except for editing. But like I'm not gonna, just because he said these words doesn't engage me to move in any other speed. That's not the one I'm going to be doing anyway.
Wow, in this world that we're going through, your biggest pet peeve is being told, "Hey, buddy, I need this ASAP." You are living a charmed life, my friend.
I'll tell you what. I told this to many people before, and that's another pet peeve of mine too when people say that. But it's the little things in life that drive me up a wall. Like, you could punch me in the face, but if you don't use a coaster, I'm telling you, it's the coaster that's usually going to make me more upset.
Oh my God, I think I see the subject matter of your next documentary.
The
inside of your mind, my friend.
Small things really bother me.
You have a little ADHD there going on, or no? I'm not making fun.
No, not diagnosed or anything like that, but I'm sure it's somewhere there. You know, like I mean, when I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm going, I get it. You know.
Oh my God. Well, on that note, hey, I want to give a big round of applause and big shout out to my good friend here, Tommy Avallone, filmmaker of such incredibly great documentaries, and also a couple of hilarious features, scripted features. This man, these films are worth watching any time of the year, even the I Am Santa Claus. If you want to get your mind off of things right now, that's the best way to do it, is to catch these films, especially the Bill Murray stories. Oh my God, you just, like I said, you're smiling from ear to ear from the very beginning to the very end. So, Tommy, where can people find you? Where might we find you on the interwebs?
Well, I'm more of an Instagram man. That's just my name, Tommy Avallone, Avallone, and the number 3. But it's all on that scrolling thing. If you go to the doublewindsorfilms.com, all that social media stuff is right there. I just want to real quick say to you, and then Bill Murray's on Netflix, and the other movies are on Amazon Prime. Or if you feel like buying it, you know, that's a thing too. But I just want to say, one time you came to one of my house parties, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And one of my friends, Bill Heath, was all drunk and was surprised that, you know, Dante Hicks was at the party, and he kept yelling.
Bill Murray moment.
Yeah, yeah, for real. I mean, because we didn't tell anyone, because you know, you were at the convention, wasn't sure if you're going to come by. And I love throwing those things, because we'd have my friends I grew up with, you know, professional wrestlers. My one friend who worked for NBC as a reporter was a big mix of people, and I would always putting them all together and see what conversations were coming up. But my friend Bill Heath was very drunk and kept yelling, "He's not even supposed to be here today." And so I'm not sure if you ever, I'm sure you've gotten it all the time, but I don't know if you actually heard it that night. But it was just cool.
Do I get it all the time, sir? It's built into my Chiron at times. Right.
No, I'm saying I knew you got it all the time, but it was one of those things at the time. Like I was like embarrassed that like it happened at my party and all that stuff. But like it's just one of those things. It's like
Don't even sweat it, dude. Listen, that's going to be on my tombstone. It's going to be here lies Brian O'Halloran, born 1969, died whenever, and it's going to say he's not even supposed to be here today. If it brings a smile to his face, I'm sure it will. Yeah, I remember that. If you want to see that photo of me at the house party, Tommy has it up on his Instagram stories. I reposted it on my Instagram story, Brian C. O'Halloran, and also the O'Halloran on our Instagram and Twitter pages as well. Tommy, thank you so much, and congratulations on your newborn. What is it? 4 months now?
Yeah. 4 months. My son's 4 years and she's 4 months. So,
did you name the kid COVID? What'd you name the kid?
Yes.
Crazy time. Get over here, COVID. You won't make 20 if you keep it up that way.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you won't understand this. It's like a topical humor, and hopefully it goes away. But yeah, look, I love all the stuff. Volkerthon, going to those things all those years and seeing you guys in the movies and having you in some of ours and being someone that I can text and say, hey, can I be on your podcast? It's a big honor of mine. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I see you're working on a future one about the band Gwar.
Yeah, I'm producing that one. That's fun, man. And we got Weird Al's in there. We got Alex Winter, Bam Margera, Ethan Suppley. Oh, I'm sorry. The other Ethan.
Hawk?
No. Why am I blanking on his name? Ethan Umbre. Because he was in King Holly. He was in Empire Records with Gwar. So there's a lot of fun little cameos in that one. And Gwar.
I got to see them a couple of times. There's a comic. There was a horror con called why is it up in Worcester, Mass, called Rock and Shock, where it's a horror convention during the day, and then also during the day it's a music fest at the big theater that they have there. And so they were the headliner a couple of years in a row. And man, what a crazy, especially 2008 election was a crazy. They had a show there, and they had Obama decapitating Hillary and stuff. It was just a lot of, and they all get thrown into the meat grinder. It was a fun show, and it's sad the passing of the band members. And it's a lifestyle and a music that I cannot see being matched.
Oh yeah, well they keep going, man. It's an interesting story, and it's funny. It's it's a whole bunch of movie of interviewing these people, but they're out of costume, so it's you don't even know. It's gonna be interesting. Scott Barber is directing it. He did the movie Orange Year. It's all about the beginning of Nickelodeon. So that'll be fun. Real quick, I got a question for you. It's one of those things where cameos. What was it like? I mean, what was the M. Night movie that you're in but not really?
The Happening.
What was that like? Because I watched it in the theater and I was like, that's Brian O'Halloran. I didn't know you at the time, but I was like, tell me this. I never knew what happened with that movie.
Diane Heary was casting, as she's casting everything that comes out of Philadelphia, brought me in and had me do a reading, an audition, and a callback soon after. And that was because the assistant, the first AD, was a big fan. And so I came in and I just played this Jeep. They called him the Jeep driver. And there's a scene in the movie where John Leguizamo, they're on a train to try to get out of New York City. The train is stopped because something's happening. And
I like the movie.
Yeah, they get to a point just outside of Pennsylvania, or just outside of Philadelphia, at some local town. Everybody gets off the train. They go to this diner and they're watching the local news to find out what's going on. And the news is telling them that something is happening, and it's starting from the cities and it's spreading out and people need to get out. And so everybody leaves the diner. And so John Leguizamo can't get in touch with his family, who's back in Princeton, New Jersey. And so he comes to find out that myself and a group of others are heading towards New Jersey and that we could give him a ride. And so the scene where he's in the Jeep and the girl is freaking out because she doesn't know what's going on, and we drive by these landscapers who have hanged themselves by their hoses from trees. And so it's a whole big back and forth. Now we shot a bunch of other stuff, another part of that scene with dialogue that I had as well, where it's the scene that eventually is Zooey Deschanel and Mark Wahlberg find an abandoned Jeep and they're listening to the radio broadcast in the middle of a field. The dialogue is, we had it at one time. So needless to say, something happens in the film. If you haven't seen it, something happens to us and happens to the Jeep. And that was the end of it. It's funny enough, on the DVD extras, they have a segment called stunts and how they were done. And the one stunt that they featured in that part of it was the crash that I'm a part of. I'm in the making of that scene than I am in the actual film. You see me more in that. So I say to people, well, you need to see the DVD and watch me more.
Yeah, did they tell you like that they're going to cut you out like that, or?
No, but I mean, they never do that. I mean, I didn't even make the script. You just get the scene that you're in, so you don't even know where it goes from there. So I didn't even know what the whole film was about until we went to the premiere down in King of Prussia, is where he has his premieres. And so everybody was just like, oh, and in the end, I didn't know whether to take it as a pseudo comedy or whatever, because there were moments of comedy that just weren't delivered, in my comedic opinion.
Sure.
But
I know it's not one of the popular ideas.
Yeah, he was great to work with. I remember when I first arrived on set and went up to where Holding was and where they had the Winnies and the honey wagons and stuff. And they walked me to my dressing room, and as I come out, he came out of his director's Winnebago, and he saw me out in the parking lot area, just having something to drink. And he came over like, hey man, I'm a big fan. Thank you so much for being part of this. I'm like, oh my God, thank you for having me be a part of this. So he goes down to look at the setup that they have. And it is the scene of the landscapers hanging from the trees. And then I get down there, and as we're waiting for certain touch-ups are going on, he's talking to me, and we're just talking back and forth. And so I just decided to take a stab in the dark. I said, this is really wild. What's going on here? Obviously, I don't know what's going on with the whole film, but I can imagine it's pretty wild. But I got to say, I'm a little disappointed. And he shoots me a look like, what do you mean disappointed? I go, I auditioned for this film. I knew the title is called The Happening, but I thought we were shooting the movie version of the TV show What's Happening. And we had a huge laugh. For anyone who doesn't know, there was a show out called What's Happening. It was Raj and Dee and Rerun. And so then we spent the next 10 to 15 minutes casting who we would do if we made a remake. And it was like Wanda Sykes was Shirley, and Raj would have been like Chappelle, and Rerun would be Keenan Williams from Saturday Night Live, and a bunch of others. And it was a lot of fun. It was like the unknown factor was who was going to play the kid D. We would need a young So it was a good fun back and forth. And he was a really great guy. He knew what he wanted. His crew, who he works with this over and over again, knew exactly what he wanted. They were very efficient. And like I said, didn't know what the outcome was going to be of this film. But and Zoe and Mark were incredibly kind and generous with their time and saying hello and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
It's an experience. I'm glad I was a part of an M. Night Shyamalan film. I wish it could have been just another M. Night Shyamalan film, or I'd like to work with them again somehow, but we'll see. But it's funny when fans come up to my table at certain Comic-Cons and like, were you in The Happening? I'm like, good eyes, because all you saw were my eyes in the mirror. Pretty much it.
But I just one of those things, I was like, because I had seen so many like there's the Kevin Smith movies, and there's the other tiers of like the ones that like he produced and all that stuff. So I had seen everything Kevin Smith. So I knew all these things, and to see that, I was like, oh, I think that's Brian O'HalloRANT. This is very, very funny, because I mean, even in that movie, like being from that area, you see like Yuki Washington, like all these like Philly people, so it is very interesting. So that was cool.
Yeah, you definitely get a lot of the same kind of castings out of certain cities, and I get it. And sometimes it's best that people work with the same people. Certain directors like to work with the same people again and again and again. Scorsese likes to work with the same people. Spike Lee likes to work with the same people. You don't have to go over a hump of getting to know what you want and what you expect from each other. You already know what you can do and what you can be a part of and stuff like that. So that's what's great about sometimes working with the same people again and again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I liked it. for a while it was very popular to hate on M. Night stuff, but I dig him. I think he's good.
No, I think it's really good. I think his trilogy of his pseudo superhero movies were really, really good. I think The Devil was a really good one. So I'd love to get in touch with him to get him as a guest, because there'd be 1,000 questions to ask him, especially because he's a successfully not self-financed, but the financing that he gets, he pays back immediately, and that's the game in this film industry is recouping. Trying to get your recoupment is tough sometimes, especially at the price that streaming outlets are paying right now. Well,
real quick. I know you want to kick me out here, but it's funny. When they were filming Unbreakable, I was working as a projectionist in a movie theater, Cinemark 16, and I accidentally threaded the movie wrong, where there's a big green scratch in the movie Shaft. And I was in Philly. I was a junior in high school, and Samuel Jackson's walking by. I was like, Samuel Jackson. I was like, I ruined Shaft, and like he didn't understand it. But the people working like, please don't talk to Mr. Samuel Jackson. Yeah, that's all I got. So
it's weird because I never understood that. It's sometimes on set. Yeah, I'm not that big of a star, so I can understand. We're like, just leave me alone, motherfucker. Yeah.
Well, it was just funny because I mean, like, he didn't know what I was talking about. Like, I would have explained it to him, but like he didn't care. You know, like why would he? You know. Exactly. It's not like I had a double-sided dildo in my hand, you know?
No, you can never compete with a double-sided dildo. Never, ever, ever. Nice. On that note, I want to thank you, Tommy, so much for
thank you.
No, thank you. And please give my best to your wife, and good luck with the newborn. Hopefully when you get back to the Philly area, please look me up. I'd love to hang out in person. Hopefully have a couple of
that'd be great.
And perhaps catch a couple of cheesesteaks while we're down there.
Sounds good, man. I'm trying to remember what the South Street one. Jim's is my favorite. So there you go.
Oh, there you go. Big shout out to Jim's for those in the Philly area. Well, everybody, thank you so much for watching with Tommy. Give a big round of applause. Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Whew. I could keep going on and on talking to Tommy. He's just so many great stories, and he's done almost everything in the game when it comes to filmmaking, and with features and shorts and comedy, and just finding the financing and finding the right cast and stuff like that. And if you get a chance, please see these docs. They're all really, really incredibly interesting. The Waldo on Weed, his latest one, nominated for quite a few awards, is a great discussion of CBD oil and marijuana, medical marijuana, and why it's a necessity for a lot of people. The Bill Murray stories are just endless fun. So incredibly, the next story after the next is so much fun to listen to. Ghostheads, especially if you're a fan of mine, if you've been to Comic-Cons, you'll totally relate to Ghostheads. And then I Am Santa Claus, a really bizarre look at the people who are your Santa Claus in these areas. Really nice guys, and their own lives are so. He picked really 4 to 5 incredible people to talk to about the subject matter. So next week I'm going to have a great icon of television. He's incredible. He's Billy Van Zandt. He has a book out that's called Get in the Car, Jane. His wife, Jane Milmore, and him were prolific TV comedy writers. He's been in tons of TV comedies from the 70s all the way through the 2000s. We're going to have him next Friday live. He's also the brother of Stevie Van Zandt. That's right, from the E Street Band. We're going to have him on next Friday at 9 o'clock. I got to say, I'm so happy to have had everybody on tonight. Tommy, seriously, thank you so much. All of you out there, and we just go through Kate, thank you so much. David, Bob, thank you so much. Christopher, thank you so much. Hayes, thank you so much. Schiffer, thank you so much. Jonathan, thanks so much. Meg, roommate and hometown friend of Tommy, thank you so much. Emmett, thank you again for Emmett Garman. Thank you for being part of this. And David Schiffer, Brian Lynch. Oh my God, we were just talking about you not that long ago. Meg, oh my God, tons of people. Vern, Scott Shuffle, of course. Thank you guys all again. Like I said, next week's going to be a great show. We'll be talking about Hollywood, from the 70s all the way to now, comedy television icon, Billy Van Zandt. If you want to reach out to me, these are my social media outlets. Also for the O'HalloRANT, it's the O'HalloRANT on these channels as well. By all means, check it out. It should be a lot of fun. Once again, thank you, Tommy Avallone, for being a part of. Thank you, folks, for letting me get through another Friday during this time. So do me a favor, please. Wash your hands. Wear a mask outdoors. And please stay 6 feet away. It's the only way. I want to get back to work. I want to be able to meet people and hang out with my friends in bars and restaurants. It's the only way we're going to do it. Science has shown that. It's not going to kill you. If anything, not wearing the mask is going to maybe kill someone else. It's just a public service announcement from your buddy here, Brian. We love you. Stay safe. We'll see you next Friday, 9 o'clock, here on YouTube and Facebook. I am, once again, Brian O'HalloRANT. So thankful for all your love. If you can, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching it on Facebook, jump over to the YouTube channel and just subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the more perks I get in promoting and producing and stuff. And people then even more so want to be on the show. And if you have any other comments or suggestions or complaints, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it. You guys are the best. And we'll see you next week.